Welcome to a session on the Programming Language Basics, Part 1. If you are aspiring to become a programmer or a developer, a warm welcome. The goal of this series is to help you understand the fundamentals of programming and also help you to read the code in any programming language or write the code in any programming language and apply the programming techniques you have learned to do really innovative tasks to help make lives easier. So, why are you aspiring to code? Everything in the universe is brilliantly coded, be it the stars, the moon, or the motion of the planets, or the ocean, or the DNA of a human body. Everything is coded. But as a human, you have an extra power. You have a potential to do coding. And humanity has achieved to a great extent, where we all have become a global village, where we can fly and we can all keep connected with the help of internet, all with the power of human intelligence. So, as a coder, you will write the coding logic and then just sit back and relax, and the machine or the computer does the job for you. No more manual labor or body pain. So, we are all connected. Also, please note the concept of IoT is catching up, where the devices are becoming your friends with the help of artificial intelligence. And so this is a summary of what happens behind the scenes. A computer understands the language of 0 or 1 or on and off, that's all. But you as a programmer will be writing the code in any programming language like C, C++, C#, Java, or PowerShell, or any programming language, and then there will be a compiler which converts the code to a programming language which the computer can understand. That is called machine language. Assuming you talk in any language, but the meaning is the same, right? Or you can make anything with the sand, like a sand castle or a bucket or any form you like with the clay or the snowflakes. Similarly, with the power of programming language, you can create anything you like. You can create applications, mobile apps, or make lives easier. So, coming to the introduction, we will have a look at the introduction to programming, then the object-oriented concepts, and also the history or the timeline. So programming is like a universal language beyond the barriers of human language, and life is made so much easier. You just have to use your brains and write some code. So many of the people who are just doing copy-paste work would definitely like to use their brains to write the code, and that way you will also get some satisfaction. So coming to the object-oriented programming concepts. So what is class? So class defines the attributes and methods of an object. So in object-oriented programming, we work with objects and focus on the data and not the business logic. So there are certain concepts which we can discuss. Probably you already know this. So in object-oriented programming, you have a concept called class, then data abstraction, encapsulation, information hiding, which is similar to encapsulation, inheritance, and polymorphism. So abstraction can be thought of as a virtual concept where it doesn't exist in reality. For example, you look at a dog, you look at a tiger, you look at a cat, you look at a horse. They are real. But you can use the generic term called animal, meaning that they are abstract and not exist in reality. This is called abstraction. Another concept, we call so many names for one term called God, which is abstract. But do we know if it's real or not? We have not seen this, so that's like the virtual concept. Next, coming to the class. Class is nothing but a term which defines the methods and attributes or properties of an object. For example, consider a car. A car has a method where you can drive, or you can set the speed or get the speed, or do refueling or get the fuel. And it has various properties or attributes like the color, the engine model, the fuel, the mass speed, etc. Another example, for a fruit, you can have attributes like color and methods like eating or set price. Coming to the next concept called inheritance. Through inheritance, you inherit the properties of the parent and the child inherits those properties. For example, you can have a top class vehicle, then land vehicle, motor vehicle under that, and the car inherits the properties of both land vehicle and vehicle. Next is the property of polymorphism, where you have the method with the same name but different implementation. For example, a cat says meow and a dog says woof woof, or a duck says quack quack. So, but the same name speak method is used. As a quick recap, a class is a definition of methods and variables. Data abstraction means a virtual entity, a superclass that does not exist in the real world. Encapsulation means hiding implementation details. Polymorphism means same name with different implementation. And finally, through inheritance, new objects take properties of existing objects. A little comparison between different types of programming languages. The most famous is the structured and the object-oriented programming languages. So C is an example of structured programming language where the logical structure and the business code is even more importance, but there is less data security or reusability. But object-oriented programming comes with various advantages where you have more security, more usability, flexibility, and abstraction is more. And the programming for object-oriented is commonly used. One example is C#, and it can handle very complex programs. In object-oriented programming uses bottom-up approach and structured programming uses top-down approach. Looking at the history, who was the one who invented computers? Charles Babbage. Computer was mainly invented for doing calculation or a series of tasks. In 1949, Newman helped to write code where we had to manually convert to 0 and 1. And thankfully, in 1950s, the Fortran was the oldest programming language, and COBOL, which were used for scientific purposes in IBM laboratories, and Lisp was an artificial intelligence programming language. Later, in 1958, ALGOL was started leading to languages like Pascal and C, which is the most famous programming language done by Dennis Ritchie in 1972. And with that, the famous programming languages like Java, Visual Basic, C# in 1990s have started. And currently, there are many programming languages coming up like the TypeScript and Angular, which are the top names. So programming languages keep coming. But if we know the fundamentals, you will learn how to code in any programming language, no matter what the name is. And coming to the future, in the future, we are moving towards a phase where we might be following quantum and biological computers, where probably we don't have to use computers and probably our own body can be used as a biological computer to make our lives easier. Coming to the examples, I've just put in a slide where it showcases the most famous programming languages gathered from Indeed.com in 2016. So the top is SQL, then we have Java, and then JavaScript, C#, Python, C++, PHP, iOS or Android or for mobile devices, and finally Ruby or Rails. Apart from this, there's a lot of programming languages like TypeScript, Google Go, etc. And we'll just start with a demo now. Common example in any programming language is the Hello World program, where the first thing to do in any programming language is to display a text in output window or do printing. So let's start off with Windows PowerShell itself. So I'm launching Windows PowerShell as an administrator. So please note that a best technique to learn programming is with the help of Notepad, where you type your code in the Notepad and then you save the code in the format of the corresponding programming language, Then you have to compile the code and run the code. So there are various tools to make life easier. In this particular example, let's just try to print the text called hello world. Okay. So in this I've chosen PowerShell because it's very simple and easy. So if I want to print this, we'll type some code. The code is written and then I have to compile or run the code. So most of the times we can just press F5 or there will be a play button. So let's just press F5 or select this run button and the output will be displayed in the output window. So this is an example in Windows PowerShell. So apart from printing, there are other common tasks in any programming language like addition or subtraction and other common program techniques. Apart from that, we will have a look at how to declare variables and other common functions. So in the coming sessions, we will have a look at the common steps like the installation of tools needed to run the programming language, then write the code, and also how to compile and execute the code and read and debug a code. Apart from that, while learning any programming language, first thing we need to learn how to add commits and the documentation needed. Then we will learn about debugging the code and then some best practices needed. Then we will have a look at the common things in any programming language like declaring variables and discuss about the data types and then how to convert between different data types and also how to get the input from users and some of the common operators like arithmetic or logical operations and also working with functions and exception handling depending on the programming language. So just as a quick test or just to check if you've understood the concepts, can you guess if C# is a programming language? The answer is yes. And thank you so much for your time. We will have a look at further topics in the ongoing sessions. Take care. Have a good day. Bye-bye.